I'm Heather with Goin Batty, and today I'm going to be making up some freezer meals. I'm going to do 3 different freezer meals, so why don't you come along with me and I'll show you what I'm doing. Alright, so the meals that I'm making today are, I'm going to do a veggie lasagna, a regular lasagna, and a chicken casserole, like a chicken and rice casserole. I'm doing this because every once in a while you have those nights where it's like, oh, I don't know what to make, and or you're super busy, and if you can just take one of these, put it in the refrigerator the night before, let it thaw out, and then pop it in the oven, and it just makes an easy dinner that there's kind of no muss, no fuss. You can just put it in the oven and go. The first thing that I've got going here is I'm going to be making me some chicken stock, and I'm going to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone because I put these are chicken thighs and drumsticks that are in here, and I'm going to use that chicken once it's cooked in my chicken casserole. So that way I have the chicken stock to use in the chicken casserole and the meat already done all in one shot. As you can see, I've put the celery in here, and the celery I've just broken up, and if it has leaves on it, you can leave those on there. I've also put onion in here. I don't peel my onion. I wash it, but I don't peel it because that just, you can throw it in there and it's not going to make any difference. Now I'm going to do the garlic, and like I said, I washed it, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut it in half like that, and then just throw it in there, peels and all. And then I'm going to put my seasoning in it. I'm going to put some poultry seasoning in there, and then I'm going to put my salt and pepper. Alright, so now we're going to turn this on high at first, and when it starts to boil, we'll turn it down to like a low heat, and then we'll slap a lid on it. We'll just let it cook until the chicken just kind of falls off the bone. And I forgot to do this before, but I have some of these baby carrots that they're from last week, and they're not bad, but you can tell they're getting white and they're starting to dry out a little bit. So we're just going to throw those in there. So the next thing that I'm working on here, if you can see it, I've got my Italian sausage in here. We're going to be working on the meat for our lasagna, and so I'm going to put some ground beef in it. Alright, so what I'm going to show you guys now, this is going to be the insides for my my chicken and rice casserole, and the recipe that I have, it actually calls for frozen vegetables, and you can totally use those, but we have the Thrive freeze-dried vegetables, and I'm going to use those instead. Now if you have fresh vegetables, you can totally cut those up and use them in here too. This is a good, like if you have things that are left over, like if you have some cooked carrots, or if you have some cooked green beans, or cooked corn, or frozen corn, this is a good recipe to kind of use that kind of stuff up. But since I don't have any of those like laying around in my refrigerator right now, I'm going to use these here. So we're going to do about a cup of each vegetable, but I'm going to probably put a little more of the green beans because they're bigger. And then I'm going to refresh these, and I'm probably not going to put quite as much of the onion in it because a cup of onions is kind of a lot. So we're going to do about ½ a cup of the onions. But like I said, you could totally use fresh with this. You could totally use a bag of frozen, like frozen vegetables. This is just what I'm going to use for this right now. And all I have to do is I just got to cover this with water, and I'm going to stir it up, and I'm going to let it refresh itself, and then I'll just drain the water off of this so that I don't have a real soupy casserole. When we use our Thrive stuff, most of the time we don't make just a dish out of this. We supplement it with everything else that we have, and it's worked really, really well for us. All right, we are back to our sausage and hamburger mixture, and I threw some red onions in here that I had left over because I didn't want them to go to waste. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my leftover pasta sauce that I had from the other night, and we're going to take our pasta sauce and we're going to put it in. I like to put it in my meat because the flavor from that Italian sausage gives the sauce a really good flavor. And I had 2 things of it, so we're gonna dump that in there too. And now you could use a jarred pasta sauce. You could make your own, which I have done before. And I put a thin layer of sauce in here, and I like to use the oven ready lasagna noodles. I don't use the boil kind because I just feel like that's kind of a waste of my time if we've got these. So I'm going to go ahead and layer this in here and do that real quickly, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. All right, so this is ready and done and ready to be covered with foil. Now, at the very end, I put some Italian breadcrumbs on this. I didn't like coat them in oil or butter or anything because the oil from the cheese will actually help those brown in the oven. But another reason I did that is it helps to keep the aluminum foil from sticking to your lasagna. So we're gonna cover this with foil. I'm gonna cover it with the plastic cover, and then write on the plastic cover like what temperature I have to bake it at, how long it has to dethaw, all that kind of stuff. This is our next freezer meal that we're doing. Right here, I'm going to show you how to, we're going to make vegetable lasagna, and I'm going to show you how to make a bechamel sauce. So I've got my butter melted, and you're going to use the same amount of flour as you do fat. So your butter is a fat, so we're going to put that in there, and we're going to whisk it around. And the other thing, once I get this in there, that I'm going to add in there too is my my spices. So we're going to make this kind of a little like like Alfredo sauce, but you want to get all of the butter mixed in with the flour. And we're going to now add in our garlic. I just used a microplane on our garlic. And then we're going to put in some basil. And then we're going to put in a couple of pinches of nutmeg. And now we're going to add a little bit of black pepper. Now you might be wondering why I put my spices in now instead of like maybe at the end. Your spices will release more flavor if they're put in with a fat. So if you use like an oil or something like that, you always want to put your spices in with that oil because it helps it release the flavor really well. All right, so we're going to let this, we've got it over a medium heat, and we're just going to let it get fragrant. Now this is a white sauce, so you don't want your roux here to get super dark. You want it where you can just start smelling your spices. And now I'm going to go ahead and add our liquid to it, and this is our milk. And this, as it's cooking, will start to thicken up. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't have any clumps of flour or anything in here. You're going to bring this up to kind of a simmer. You're going to keep an eye on it because it's going to start to thicken up. And you don't want it to get like too thick where it's like paste, but you want to have it thick enough that it's more like a Alfredo. We are now going to assemble our veggie lasagna. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a scoop of our bechamel sauce down in the bottom, just a real thin layer, and we'll just move that around. I also sprayed my pan so that there's not, you know, the chance of it sticking. So we'll do that. Put that all in there. Now we're gonna lay down, again, I use the no-bake, the no-boil lasagna noodles. So we're gonna put a layer of that in there. I have a lot of people ask me, okay, I got a can of like say Thrive broccoli or something like that, and there's like the florets sometimes will break off, and you'll have this kind of in the bottom of your can. What do I do with that? Do I just throw it away? No, don't throw it away. What you do with that is you can use it in a dish like this, and you just sprinkle that on the bottom. This actually would also, these bits would work really well in broccoli cheese soup too. So we're going to put a layer of that on there, and then I'm going to take a layer of, I grated some carrots. I didn't use the Thrive carrots because I didn't want chunks of it. I wanted real thin grated carrots. So we're going to put that in there. All right, and now we had some bits of the zucchini left, so I'm just going to use that in the same way. Just going to put that on there, and I don't have to rehydrate this because the sauce, it's going to sit in the sauce as it cools, and it will rehydrate it on its own. And then we're going to put some asparagus on it, and we're going to put some onions. There it is, all finished. I put the cheese on the top, and again, I put the breadcrumbs on the top so that the aluminum foil doesn't stick to the cheese. Start with our chicken casserole right now. This is the last one that we're going to do. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil down in this pan. What you want to do is you want to coat your rice grains in the oil. So here's my 4 cups of rice. I have my heat on it, and so I'm going to toss this rice around, and then I'm going to toast it, and you're going to smell it. It's going to smell toasty. All right, it's making a sizzling noise right now, which is good. That's what I want. I'm going to go ahead and put my liquid in it. Now, this is the chicken broth that I made. And so we're just going to go ahead and pour it in there. And I've got 4 cups in there now. And then I'm going to put 4 more cups because I need 8 cups of, I've got 4 cups of rice. So you need twice as much liquid as you do the rice. Our rice is starting to boil right now. So what I'm going to do, and this is, I have a pan that the lid doesn't fit real tight on it. It actually has a vent hole in it, if you can see here, which makes it so that your rice comes out crunchy. If you don't want crunchy rice, here's what you do. If you have a pan that the lid doesn't fit well on it, put some aluminum foil on the top of that pan and seal it up real good. Like that, and then put your lid on it and make sure that there's none of that steam is escaping from there. And then you're going to turn your rice down to low, and you're going to set your timer for 20 minutes. I drained my vegetables, so all the liquid is out of them now. And so what we're going to do now, our chicken is still a little hot for me to touch because I just pulled it out. We're going to put I'm using cream of chicken soup. You can use cream of mushroom, you can use cream of celery, but cream of chicken is what we have, so that's what I'm going to use. We're going to put that in there. All right, and we're going to go ahead and mix those up. I'm going to put some salt and pepper in it. So, all right, I've got all of that chicken picked off the bone. And then here I have the chicken skin, the cartilage, and any of like the veins and stuff. And I don't throw that away. I actually give that to the dog because the cartilage and stuff has collagen in it, which actually is really good for her joint. Never, never, never give your dog chicken bones though. Make sure you have all of the bones picked out of it. I make sure I did that, but never give your dog chicken bones. They can choke on it. But I don't know if you can see her down there, but she's under the table here waiting for me to give her the chicken skin. Gina, do you want the chicken skin? Our rice is done, so we're gonna see how it turned out. We're gonna pull that off. And if you look at it, it's nice and fluffy. It's not sticking together. And I'll let you taste it here. And it's not crunchy. So we're gonna take this now and we're gonna dump it into our chicken mixture with our vegetables and stuff. All right, this is all mixed together, and now we're gonna add some cheese to it. We're gonna put some cheese in it, and then we're gonna put some cheese on top of it. I've sprayed both of my pans here, and I'm just gonna start scooping this into each pan. I was actually able to get 3 of those 3 9x13 pans of that casserole. So we're gonna put a little bit of breadcrumbs on the top of it. All right, guys, there you go. I've got 5 meals made. 3 are my chicken and rice, and this is my vegetable lasagna and my meat lasagna. It just shows you that a little bit of prep work, and you can make up quite a few meals for your family. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and more updates as we go. Bye.